Hi, welcome back to Finally Revealed. In this episode, I want to talk about the United States treaties with the Indians and how I am reading them and summarizing them in a way that might read differently than what you might read in a historical text or prose, either an article that was written now or written a long time ago, or any summaries that you might read about these treaties. This is why I'm reading the actual text of them. As an attorney, I read every word of every document and I write those documents. You have at some point had some type of document that you have read, whether you signed it or it was presented to you or you saw it in connection with some transaction, and maybe there were extra words that you weren't quite sure what they meant, or you've heard the term legalese. When a document is written as a contract, the party who is writing it is going to write it favorable to their side. When you talk about a negotiated agreement, that means both parties, both sides, are contributing to what the document says. In the United States, we would have an attorney on both sides of that agreement. Each side would be represented so that each side would have an even chance to have the document phrased in a way that is acceptable to them. When only one side has an attorney, that document is going to be favorable to one side. We have provisions in the agreements that will say you had the right to consult with an attorney, and if you sign it and you don't have representation, you are helping to balance out that playing field so that you're not going to be able to say someone took advantage of me or I don't know what it said, because you had the opportunity to read that and have someone explain it to you. When you sign your name, if you have capacity and it's not an illegal document, you are bound to that. And if you have to go to court to have that interpreted, it's going to be interpreted based upon what it says. There's not going to be any outside explanation or background given. It's going to be based upon that document. This is important for you to understand as we go over into the area of the treaties. These treaties between the United States and the Indian nations were set up as treaties between sovereign groups of people. The tribes were considered basically a country. The United States was considered basically a country. And so you have both sides going into this agreement. As I read through who signs the treaties, who prepares them, who negotiates them, and who is present when they're signed, I also talk about how they were signed. And every single treaty has at least one person, and a lot of times all of them on the Native American side, making a mark, meaning these people could not write in the English language. The treaties were not written in Navajo, they weren't written in Cherokee, they weren't written in any other native language, they were written in English. And while the information on what the concept was that they were agreeing upon, there are other provisions in there that many of you may also just skip over. It's those other provisions that paved the way for the Indians to lose their land, to be relocated multiple times, to be moved from one type of lifestyle to another, and ultimately to be made wards of the United States as a group of people that now receives, yes, you can say they receive benefits, but they have limited land rights, they have limited economic freedom, and they are separated in some ways from society as a result. And I've narrowed this down into 3 reasons that this happened. One is culture. The Indians did not, from writings, I haven't interviewed all of them, and of course not going back to the 1500s, the Native Americans did not believe that the earth was something that you owned. They lived in compatibility, they lived in harmony with the earth. And so their culture, they didn't understand the concept of owning a piece of land. Their language, as I just stated, they didn't have the same language. If you are going to sign a contract that is written in French and you don't speak French, do you really understand that contract? Can you really understand that contract? Someone could translate it to you. Are they translating it word for word? How are you going to know if you don't understand that language? So language is huge, and not just language, the way the extra words are added in, the meaning behind what the words say. And then the last part, which is probably the most important, the agenda, intent of each side. And as you'll go along, you can see, even starting from the first proclamations, that the Europeans believed they were superior to the natives, and that they had some greater rights than the natives to the land the natives were occupying and more. So that's why I'm going through these word for word, and that's why I'm doing the summaries at the beginning, but then you can listen, or if you want to print copies and read along with me, you can see what I'm talking about if you're interested. This is partly for education, but also partly to have an historical database, because I could not find that these were publicly available in this format. So if this was helpful or you learned something, give me a thumbs up. Leave any comments or questions below. Share it with anyone who it may benefit. Subscribe to see the other videos. All of our videos are grouped under playlists so that the ones that you're interested in, those subject matters, which are going to keep coming out, you can find those more easily. And come back and see me next time. Thanks for watching.